In early 2026, the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed. Traffic through the 21-mile-wide choke point halted, immediately paralyzing the route that handles 20% of the world's daily oil supply. This chart tracks the immediate panic in the global energy market. Within days of the disruption, Brent crude oil prices violently spiked past $126 a barrel, threatening supply shortages and triggering severe economic fallout across Asia and Europe. To secure the strait and restore order, the United States relied on the ultimate symbol of naval deterrence, the USS Gerald R Ford, a $13 billion aircraft carrier fully loaded with fighter jets. Yet it wasn't a barrage of enemy missiles forcing the carrier off the front lines. The ship suffered from a systemic plumbing flaw that required $400,000 acid flushes just to clear the pipes, followed shortly by a damaging fire that broke out in the crew's main laundry room. These failures are the textbook symptoms of operational fatigue. The Ford had been running continuous, high-intensity flight operations for 9 straight months. Running complex machinery for that long without scheduled maintenance guarantees that physical systems will eventually break down. The tactical consequence was immediate. The Ford was forced to withdraw to Crete for urgent repairs, entirely removing the primary umbrella of American air cover over the strait. Into that sudden power vacuum stepped a highly aggressive, asymmetric threat. Opposing forces immediately capitalized on the carrier's absence by deploying hidden coastal missile batteries and swarms of fast attack craft. 9 months of wear, a clogged pipe, and a laundry fire forced the Navy's premier ship to retreat. In a congested geographic choke point, massive, highly visible surface ships become multi-billion-dollar liabilities, vulnerable to both physical exhaustion and cheap, swarm-based tactics. To adapt to the carrier's absence, the Pentagon executed a sharp tactical pivot. They replaced the Ford with amphibious assault ships, bringing in the USS Boxer and the USS Tripoli. Their objective was to neutralize the fortified islands controlling the strait, but those islands were surrounded by a deadly maritime moat, dense, pressure-sensitive naval minefields that stopped conventional ships from getting anywhere near the shore. To cross this barrier, the Marines deployed a highly specific engineering solution, the LCAC, or Landing Craft Air Cushion. This cross-section illustrates their survival. A traditional hull pushes deep, triggering submerged pressure mines. The LCAC distributes its weight across pressurized air, hovering safely above. Gliding over sensors, Marines bypass the traps, hit the beach, and dismantle missile batteries. Taking the islands neutralizes the airborne threat. But the deep water channels remain saturated with explosives, leaving commercial tankers with no safe passage. With the shoreline secured, the fight moves back to the deep water, where large surface ships are still highly visible, highly vulnerable targets. True operational control of the battle space now falls to the ultimate stealth deterrent, the U.S. Navy's nuclear submarine fleet. The Persian Gulf is shallow and incredibly noisy, a difficult environment for sonar. Yet modern acoustic engineering allows these submarines to navigate the complex geography completely undetected. From below, they act as the ocean's apex predators. They use wire-guided torpedoes and Tomahawk cruise missiles to silently pick apart opposing fleets. During the height of the 2026 crisis, reports confirmed a U.S. submarine successfully sank an Iranian warship without ever breaking the surface. Submarines perfectly counter asymmetric coastal defenses by flipping the vulnerability equation. An adversary cannot destroy a multi-billion-dollar asset if they cannot locate it. The events of early 2026 proved a harsh historical lesson. Relying on a single, massive aircraft carrier to dominate a region is obsolete. Rival nations have learned that they do not need to build their own carriers. They can use cheap, decentralized weapons, like commercial drones and swarms of fast boats, to paralyze expensive, centralized fleets. To survive, the U.S. Navy is executing a mandatory doctrinal shift known as distributed lethality. This map illustrates the concept. Instead of concentrating combat power into one massive, highly visible target, distributed lethality spreads it out. The fleet relies on a network of small, mobile marine units on land and hidden submarines underwater. This localized, stealth-heavy approach forces a complete rewrite of naval tactics for any future conflict against a heavily armed, near-peer adversary. A massive surface ship is simply too visible to survive a sustained barrage of cheap drones and missiles. The surface of the ocean is now an exposed kill zone. The future of global naval supremacy will be decided in the pitch-black depths.